Yes, but it's fine.
We're live with Terra Nullius, Terra Nullius, episode 71. I'm glad that we're doing this episode because that means we're going to end on 72, which is a much nicer number than ending on 71. It would have felt a little weird to end the entire campaign on 71, but 72 is going to be good. So 71 today we're going to basically, again, as we did last episode, continue to wrap up all the loose threads. Turns out there's a few more things.
Six?
This is season 6. Yeah.
Exactly 12 episodes a season. Is how that breaks down.
Is it for the season? Wow.
Well, 72 is 6 times 12, so.
Yep.
Okay, cause we didn't do 12 episodes for season 4 or 5.
Right.
So
But
we must have done more episodes for.
I think we
earlier.
did
On
more episodes
average,
for
we
5.
had about 12.
Yeah. We did more episodes in 5 and less episodes in 4. That's crazy.
Yep.
Well, there you go. I think we actually did maybe more episodes season 6. I don't know. We'll do the breakdown later. So
Doesn't matter.
yeah, well, it does to me, Seth, but just not right now. So there's several things that I have notes on that need to happen this session. Let's go ahead and start with this. So we see the. Let's see, where would they be coming in? I guess we see the underground community that Exunamai had been making with like the UNT that she was turning back into humans. And they're like, living their lives, doing the things they normally do. And then suddenly there's like a bunch of conquistadors that just like wander in, come into the cavern, right? Like they've teleported nearby and then are just like coming in. And we start to see just like, it's this kind of quaint scene of like, oh, hey, whoa, other Spanish people. And it's like this really weird kind of just awkward thing because they don't know what to think about each other at first. But things get explained, maybe not entirely, but enough to like the army moves on and continues into where they're supposed to be, where they're going to stage. But we see that initial scene and then we start to just get a montage, right, of all of your allies just starting to come to Exunamai's domain. And so I went ahead last weekend. I made a final battle folder, and it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 subfolders with all the different like groups of people that are going to be involved on one side or the other in this combat. It took a long time to collate all of this. But so we
I'm
see.
I'm just hoping that we at least have 8.
Let's see. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and a half.
9.5 what?
9 and a half of these 15 subfolders are your guys' people.
That's not telling how many are in those.
Yes, exactly.
Side,
the one issue with that is that a couple of these folders have entire categories of monsters that I just threw in there. Like I was just like, all the undead going in Knock Knight's folder, right?
All the tabaxi going in our folder.
Well, yes.
Oh no, not all.
Dang it, you're right, not all.
Exactly. So
hey, if we see tabaxi there, Teppan's gonna try and flip that script on them.
I imagine most of the tabaxi that would have been on one side or the other are going to be would be with Tapiaxi, right? Or the ones you've gathered. So yeah, I think if there are any tabaxi, honestly, the only tabaxi that should be on the other side are like the Hellcats, but they're not actually tabaxi, right? So
close enough.
But so just to give you guys, a little bit of, so I guess let's frame it this way. Where are you guys when the army starts arriving? As we see the montage, you guys get back from your trip to go see if you could recruit Nahuatl. You ended up getting the Blessed Sister, but it just turns out the Blessed Sister is actually Kitlali all along. So.
It was Kitlali all along.
Exactly, yeah.
I know. I was telling Seth
Bamboozle.
the other day. I'm like, oh, we kind of fulfilled Toity's dream of reconciling with her.
Exactly. Yep.
And Tony was there when it happened, just not the way he wanted it to be.
Yep.
I think Toity would be so proud of us.
I think Toity.
I mean, you had a lot of, in some ways, yes.
yeah.
A lot of the murder and stuff he would still be disapproving of.
By the end
We
of the
have
campaign,
hardly murdered any.
Yeah, it took Teppan dying. It took Teppan dying for you guys to give up your murder hobo ways.
it took 2 of Seth's characters dying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it took him dying.
So, but yeah,
And my character died twice.
are you just like, yeah, it's also true. Are you just with Exunamai? Like, where would you hang out?
Yeah, probably just planning there.
Are you just talking with her about the plan, sort of a thing?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah, I mean, at some point, whenever the verdict shows up, I got to talk to Adeline.
Oh yeah, no, there will be lots
give
of
me that
lots of
apple.
conversations. Yes.
I would be doing some final probably warlock training with the
Yes,
backseat
mhm.
out of there.
Yep.
Wait, if the verdict is coming, does that mean Yee's gonna be there?
Just wait. Just wait.
Oh no.
I have some plans. For that.
Oh no.
Oh,
Keep her away from me.
Wait.
Put her next in between Knock Knight and Maziel, and maybe both of them will just spontaneously explode.
That's true. Here's my question: is
Yeah.
Shayla going to be there?
No, remember Shayla? Shayla never during the verdict. She's living her best life.
Yeah, no, Shayla wasn't a
Yeah,
part of that.
Shayla and Rosamie are
Sayori.
living their best life. Sayori is part of the verdict now. Yeah.
Oh no, Sayori, that was the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, Sayori's there.
Because the
She's
thing
there,
is,
there.
I just had this thought in my head of if someone tried to cast power word kill on her.
Murder word.
No, it's just counterspelling it and saying, no, it's the only one that gets to kill her is me.
Oh right, yeah. I mean,
Like,
I'm sure I have some ideas for moments like that we can just like vignette during the major battle, right? Like there's probably a few fun things that can happen like that. We'll obviously talk about like how the final battle is actually going to go, but for now, let's go in media res. You guys are talking to Exunamai about like the general plan. I'm going to give you guys a chance to like see that she has some ideas about. Well, one, she needs to show you where this is going to go down in the first place and give you some tips on stuff like that. But for now, what we see is you're talking with her about some stuff, and then Navarro shows up, right? So at this point, Otabai's Tabaxi are here already, right? They're here. In the Burning Sanctum people, I assume, are here as well, right? So we have Kizine, Keatlali, Tohil is around here somewhere, but who knows if he'll actually help. And then Zaman. And Navarro shows up, right, with his conquistadors. He has Damien and Lucian, and also Uretzi, the daughter of Oatly, and the Ogre tribe, right?
I was
We
wondering
saved
what happened
her?
to them.
Yeah, remember?
Yeah.
I thought she was like taken over. I couldn't remember if we saved her or
But
not.
she was taken over, but you saved her. Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't remember that part.
Yep.
Gosh.
Yep. So you have and there's quite a few ogres, right, that you get from this too. So they show up, and also I guess Akashi, Sayori, and Adeline would also be there with Navarro, right? So Navarro would go over to Uriah immediately, right, and be like, when you said that the battle was going to happen, I didn't expect it was going to be underground.
What about Mira?
Oh yes, Mira. That's the other person I was forgetting. Yep, she's there.
Wait, I thought they
We got her
left.
body back, or a new body for her. Which is
No, but I
kinda the
thought
same.
I thought they
No,
left back
she
to-
decided she wanted to stay to redeem
Yep.
herself.
Oh, okay. I thought you guys left.
I gave them a chance, yeah, to leave, but they chose not to do it. So if they die in this final battle, it'll be y'all's fault. But yeah, what do you say, Raya?
I'm just kind of like, well, we didn't really plan for it to be underground, but this seemed like the best way to get our enemies in a confined area where we can set up with advantage.
Yeah, he nods. He looks up. He's like, but from what you've said, it sounds like we're going to be fighting dragons, and I imagine, well, I would hate to be underneath the rubble as they hit the top of this thing and, like, you know, look up the ceiling and all the stone. And at that point, X speaks up, and she's in her her teenage girl form, right? So like, 18, 19 sort of look, very beautiful. And she immediately like is like eyeing Navarro up and down, right? Because you guys promised her that you were gonna like get Navarro to like take her as
That we
his
were gonna
bride
try.
or whatever.
We said we would try.
Did I try?
Clarify.
Did I already try and persuade him when I messaged him?
I don't think so.
I think you just did like a little like.
I think you
And she's
hinted at
cute,
it,
winky
but
face.
yeah.
Okay. If she's like right there and I see her, I'd be like, oh, hey, there's somebody here who's interested in you.
He frowns and he says, "What did you tell them, right? Did you tell them about the verdict?"
Not like interested in you romantically.
Wait, does Adeline hear this?
Sure.
Can I roll insight to see if she figures what's going on?
You'll figure it out, and
Okay.
as soon as Adeline would have figured it out, you can say something if you want to.
I was just gonna say, if Adeline sees her, she's gonna just look to the girl and say, "Darling, you can do so much better than him."
Right. And I'm sure we'll have that moment, but I think at first, right, Navarro looks at her and it's just like, so you're gonna have to explain a few things for me, Raya. Why are there humans here?
Kind of not humans.
Well, they're
She's actually a horrible snake monster.
Do you need
Yeah,
a charisma person?
so
to
they
come?
were UNT and they're getting turned back to
Wanted to be a
humans
real boy.
how they originally were. Look, if you have questions, I'm sure X would love to explain it to you and spend some time.
Okay,
It's
make
gonna give
make
it
a
to
make a
you.
persuasion check for me, Raya, just to see how like
And
basically
like
just
as
convince
Raya's
him,
trying to do this, she's also just like
almost vomiting or whatever. Yeah.
17.
Yeah, I think a 17 is good enough for him to like have a conversation with her, right?
Okay.
So he nods slowly and he says,
And I look over
Oh.
to X and I'm like,
yeah, and she's just like looking sultrily at him. And he's just like, he's grimacing and like just kind of confused. He's like, all right, Raya, well, we'll have plenty of time for that once business is done. And then and X, I think X speaks up at that point and she says, I have a point of business that might be in your favor, Lord Navarro. We won't have to worry about low ceilings. And then she looks at you, Raya, and says, I haven't yet showed you where we're going to be holding this fight, have I? Let's
Not
go
yet,
this
no.
way. There's more space there anyway. We can take your army, and she looks back at Navarro, and set it up there.
Would this perchance be where Atabai is training the people?
Sure.
Because essentially he's trying to train them to essentially cast Eldritch Blast.
Yeah.
And this would need to be in an area where they can shoot and not cause them.
Yeah, it makes sense that maybe Atabai had a conversation with X and like asked, like, where's a good place we can train? And she's like, well, here, go over here.
Okay.
so at that point I would cast thaumaturgy and be like, everyone follow us.
Right, yeah. So
Come
Raya
follow
just Raya just leads everybody to this place. And so what X does, right, is she leads everybody through some corridors, a large corridor, so you can maybe travel 4 or 5 abreast. But you get to large double doors, and she opens them up. You can't really see what she does to make them open up, but like they open kind of on their own accord. And she steps out into a jungle. It is think like, well, I mean, it's Machu Picchu. That's basically the vibe we have here, right? It's like underground Machu Picchu. The ceiling, there is a ceiling. It's very, very high up. And there are, I'm trying to think of what weird, you know what? There isn't a ceiling. I think it's very similar to the kind of weird demi-plane that Knock Knight had, where basically the sky is almost like a pastel painting, right? So eventually the horizon And it looks like the in this space, this is your guess at least, you haven't seen time move at all here, but as of right now, there's a sunrise happening. And I don't know if you guys even know what time it is because you've probably been underground for a little bit of time here. But it looks like in this weird kind of jungle scape, which is very expansive, and there's a giant ziggurat temple like in the middle of it. And then jungle, or like there's a clearing enough. There's like space to fight, but then beyond that, there's like jungle, and then like the wall of the whole place is basically like a giant cliff wall. And so the sky eventually goes up into this kind of pastel nothingness. So
how similar does this look to Knock Knight's lair?
Very, very similar. And I think
is it enough to tell that we are not about to get jumped by him?
No, and I think it's really obvious. I mean, especially to Adeline and Akashi Amira, you guys would recognize, one, the architecture of the ziggurat is the same, right, as the temple that as the like pyramid thing that he had, but it actually looks like the very top of the pyramid is missing. So it's literally like this must be this existed before Knock Knight made his private domain, and then Knock Knight like took the top of it and made it into his own thing and then teleported it away, or some other variation of it where, something like that.
Enough that Adeline's not about to go a little edge.
No, it doesn't look like
Okay.
It's not the same thing. It's definitely very similar, but you can see that obviously like his temple is missing. Like it should be on the top. And so she explains, right? Like X is like, this is where like he would come when he would visit me. She doesn't really explain much about like the origins of it, but just enough to like explain like, so this is where he'll be transported anyway, and so this is where we're gonna fight. And then let me look at my notes real quick. I feel like there's one other thing that I needed to say about this.
Well, because we're not fighting. He doesn't have dragons. He has undead. It's the other guy that we need to worry about. But he's gonna. But he'll be coming from the outside.
I mean,
Trying
he's
to come in, right?
he's teleported stuff before. Remember, he opened a portal.
I would say he's probably going to teleport.
Oh, that's true.
He opened up like an ethereal plane portal thing above Zanzadal's domain, Zanzadal's volcano.
That's true.
Remember, he's also like always on the ethereal plane at the same time as on the material plane. He has like weird like ghost thing going on with him, so he has plane shifting things. But Ari, would you make a perception check for me? Or something you could notice if you're just looking around.
Oh,
Yep.
gosh. Okay, I don't have very good perception. 14?
Raya, you could also make this check.
Oh, okay. 1 second. Sorry.
I don't think a 14 is enough to notice this, but
Question for you, Caleb. Are we literally, is this like, I just want to know for like, and maybe you can't tell me, but I want to know, like, is the plan that today is the day that we're doing this, or are we waiting another day? Like, am I going to be able to get my stuff back? That's what I'm asking.
yes.
Okay.
Well, yes, because several days have passed. 3 days, I think we said 2 days, maybe something like that, have passed since
Our fight.
Since the fight, yeah. We already said that.
Is it the 15th, or is it the 17th? Is it the 18th? Which one?
It's gonna be the 17th, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
So if I were, because I'm asking, because I'm like, oh, should I use a lucky dice on this? Like, maybe it's worth it.
Yeah, I assume you're gonna be doing it fully rested. Everybody's
okay
at full capacity.
I just want to make sure that like today's like not like.
Yeah, I'm not gonna try to screw you over and be like, oh,
I
you're
just want to make sure. You never know.
But yeah, you can use it if you want.
Okay, yeah, I think I will.
This will definitely be important. There you go. That's
yeah.
21's good enough. Ari, you see another space. And it reminds you of. Well, so okay, you notice as you. I assume. Whoa. Who's echoing?
You're echoing.
It's not me. Someone. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was Ellis. I don't know. It's gone now. So, you're good. As you guys like scouted out, and I assume you guys would do this anyway because you're getting a good look at the battle arena that you're gonna have here. But Ari, you notice that this is set up like a garden, right? And you notice a spot There's a very big tree. It looks very enticing. The fruit looks pretty cool. And it is next to a blank spot where there's just like grass. And you know what tree goes there.
Yeah.
Got it. The one I planted somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Can I make some kind of like nature arcana check to like see? So clearly, so it's two different trees.
Mm-hmm.
So what does this other tree do if it's a different tree? Or is it the same tree?
You can make an arcana, nature, or religion check.
Probably nature. That's what I'm best in. 25.
Ooh.
It's obviously another magical tree. But a
So it's
nature check
different.
isn't going to tell you
what
kind of magic it is. Yeah. So
Okay.
you
Can
make
I-
an arcana or religion would tell you this.
Okay, arcana or religion. Okay, it's the same. Can I have advantage since I did so well on my nature?
Sure.
Sweet. That did not help.
You got a good old 12. Yeah, you can't figure it out.
Okay. Well.
But yeah, you definitely notice that.
As much as I hate to admit it, I might have to go to Adeline for help on this one.
Yeah.
I'm like,
you don't even
I know that she has one of-
Adeline.
I know, but I know she has one of the apples, and it makes me mad that she even has. I'm like, how did you get this?
That is not any of your business. What do you do?
Did you actually talk to her?
No.
I mean, Navarro has the fruit at this point, right?
Yeah,
He took it from Adeline.
Yeah, I mean,
Because Raya asked him to.
I mean, I already definitely have a conversation with her. Like, how the heck did you get this fruit?
Yeah.
Like, you're not supposed to be able to access that.
Just got it.
You just got it. Really. The god of the universe set up this tree to make it unaccessible, and somehow you accessed it.
Exactly, darling.
I didn't know I didn't know it until this moment, but I was waiting for this conversation to happen.
Wow. Arya just like rubs her forehead and she's like, okay. Well, you got it. Congratulations. I need your help. You clearly know what this apple does. You were able to identify it. There's another tree over here. And it's a different one, but I think it's its twin or sibling of some kind, but I don't know what it does. I can't figure it out.
Well, I would gladly help you, darling. So would Adeline get advantage on this since Ari's kind of helping?
Sure. Yep.
I don't have Arcana.
Well,
though.
I mean, just the situation before.
Yeah.
You can take advantage. That's fine.
Adeline will walk around, look at it, give her best roll. 22.
Obviously, this is the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, Adeline.
What?
Surprise!
Surprise!
Caleb, what? Crazy.
So we've got the tree of immortality and then the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
Yep.
This is quite interesting. So what would I, given that it was an Arcana, would I know what that means? Since I didn't roll a religion check.
You got a 22 Arcana in terms of magical stuff. Yeah, like obviously it's. I mean, you want to make a religion? Yeah, would someone in this situation make a religion check too, just so I can give you both as much as you can know about either.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have? You probably have a better religion than I do.
I have a 5.
Okay, I have a 3, so you will be able to do better.
Okay. 18.
Yeah. So obviously, the first thing that comes to your mind, Adeline, religiously is, why aren't there like flaming angels here protecting this thing, right? Like that's what the stories say, right? Like if this is actually that tree, which you're assuming it is, because I mean, this definitely, the more you're looking at it, is like all the legends about the Garden of Eden. There had been legends about, like, as soon as the explorer found South America, like that was immediately, it was like, oh, this is where the lost Garden of Eden is. That's been a thing going around, right, in Europe. As for, so you don't know why it's not protected anymore, but you assume
Wait, wasn't it the? Well, actually, I guess it
was the
both
whole
were
garden.
guarded. Okay, yeah,
right? It was
that's
the whole
true, yeah.
garden. Yeah. But I guess the main reason that the angels were there in the first place was so that they wouldn't eat from the tree of life again, that sort of thing. But you imagine it's not going to be a good idea to eat from this thing. You'd probably just insta die. It's kind of, it seems like it's the opposite, right? It's the tree of death instead of the tree of life. At least in its current incarnation. You assume that's what it would do. Yep. It's pretty much as simple as that, right? It's if eating from the tree of life is going to make you into a demigod, uber awesome person, this is going to destroy your soul, probably.
She said, well, I have good news and I have bad news.
Okay, shoot.
Well, the bad news is this is not going to help us. The good news is it will help us, potentially. You see, just as the other apples, if you eat of them, would give you life, these will give you death. So, while eating it ourselves would not be good, there are some other people we could give them to that might be beneficial.
I have a feeling this wouldn't affect Knock Knight at all. If anything, it'd just make him more powerful.
Would I know that, Caleb? Given I know that this would
You're not sure, honestly. Like, it depends on how far it goes, right? Like, if it's just... Okay, I don't know if, even with a 22 Arcana, you actually know if it's... Because the thing is with actually, I think with the 22, I think you can actually figure this out. It's what it isn't is the tree of life thing isn't it's not body magic, and this isn't mind magic, right? That's not what this is, even though that's what we started with the dichotomy between the death and the life energy. That's not what this is, right? This is an all-encompassing, all three energies doing something to you, right? So the life one is all three doing something good, and this is going to be all three doing something bad. So as far as you know, eating this, and I think this is actually something you figure out that maybe you didn't get before, or at least the party didn't get before. Their plan of having Knock Knight eat from the tree of life, probably wouldn't work the way they thought it would, because of what it does, right? It's not actually life magic versus death magic in the same way that we've been thinking about it. It's just making everything better. Whether or not God has a curse involved, if someone eats this too early, that's a different thing entirely, right? But as far as you know, it's pretty straightforward all across the realms, bad and good for you, whoever eats it.
So I'd probably say, I'm not so sure about that. And if anything, it would be better than feeding him the other one.
So Adeline gathers that feeding this one would actually that would help us more than giving him the one of the tree of the life. Is that what we're gathering?
I think so.
Well, because before you were talking about maybe tricking him into eating a thing from the tree of life, and what Adeline has discovered here is that won't work the way you think it will. Whether or not it's bad, like God will curse him for eating it too early, that's like a different thing entirely. But the actual fruit itself will just do something good for him.
Yeah.
So we don't know for sure if this other one will do something bad or good for him either, though.
But it'll probably be better to feed him this one than the other one.
Oh, I just don't know how I feel about feeding him either of them now at this point, I guess.
If anything, I agree. Making someone that I have faced and was very strong, something that would make him powerful is a bad idea.
Yeah,
But
eating any of the fruit would be a bad idea. Says that getting close up into her face.
And Adeline does not stand out. She's like, that being said, if you give him something, I would choose this over that.
Okay.
Anything to take him down. He fell easy, but he did not stay down. This is someone not to be trifled with. And I'm looking forward to sticking...
One thing we can agree on.
And
Would he be bifold with?
There's only one thing I am sure of. He needs to be taken down, and I am going to be glad if it is from me.
Oh, I think you've got a lot of people to get in line with.
Oh, I will gladly get in line, darling.
Ray's just like, okay, I'm done with you now.
I'm done having a conversation with you. Yeah. That's how most people feel after they have a conversation with Adeline.
I love Adeline. She's so much fun. She's
Just
the one
like,
butthead I can play
I
that
need-
is not awful.
Yeah.
Make me feel.
Yeah. Cool. So that continues happening. You guys get a lay of the land, and then more allies continue. And I'll just give the list now. Right. So you obviously have Navarro and his army, Damien, Lucian, the Verdict members that have already been here. So Adeline, Mira, Akashi, and Sayori. You have Yuretsi and her ogres. You have Mane, the gold dragon, who is here, and Mane and Ix definitely want to have a conversation with you, Ari, at some point in this session. I think also Mane manages to, in the 2 days after you rescue him, he manages to drum up some coatls to help. So the same like feathered serpent things that you had that were in that temple originally, he finds some more exiled, scattered ones around that used to serve the caretaker. And they're going to help out too. Also, a friend shows up, and it's the superb owl, and it's the great owl. Yeah, the great owl and his tribe. Yeah, exactly, and his drug tribe. And obviously you guys didn't like recruit him, so like he comes up to you, you probably Raya. No, I think he comes up to you, Darius. And right, he flies over and he says, "Ah, yes, Darius. So very good to see you." And he's obviously like doing this in your mind, right? Like he's not actually speaking. He says, "You may be wondering why I'm here. Well, I heard through the plains of your misfortunes, and well, we were still on the lookout for a home. Maziol has made this land very uninhabitable, and we thought that it would be time to join you and put him down once and for all. I will gladly be of assistance in anything that you would need."
Well, it's great to see you again. And this time under, well, unfortunately more stressful circumstances, but...
Yes, but at least we're not trapped in the Feywild, right?
This is true.
Wow, this session just made me so happy because I'm like, wow, we didn't make all enemies. We do have people.
And that's what I was thinking about. What I was thinking, like making this list, I was like, wait a second. The one group that they like met and didn't immediately kill and then left on good terms with was the drug tribe. And I was like, well, yeah, they'll come and help.
Yeah.
Were they Tabaxi?
No, they were Genasi.
Okay, I couldn't remember.
So the leader of the tribe like walks over to you, to Darius, and it's this like 12-year-old boy, Genasi boy, and she says, "Ah, yes, Darius, very good to see you."
Good to see you too. Do you think you're ready for this fight?
We will do whatever we can to assist you.
Thank you.
And then obviously one thing to consider as well as we're making preparatory stuff, like what I want to do is there's definitely scenes like conversations that need to happen first, but then as soon as we get done with all that stuff, then we're going to do the like, let's do all the preparation. I want you to like take a look at the battlefield itself and be like, where are we going to put stuff, that sort of thing. But the one thing to keep in mind here is if you're going to maybe call Mickey to help in any more substantial way, right? Like if any part of this plan is going to be like if she the Jade Skirt actually awakens, is Mickey going to show up at like incarnate an avatar of himself? Like what's going to happen here? That's something we have to consider as well. Just keep that in mind. Also, I don't know if you guys have any other thoughts about Chemizots. Do you want to like try to message him or anything and like let him know like, hey, she the Jade Skirt might show up? He'll probably figure it out, but like maybe giving him warning might help.
Who's Oh, Camazotz is the guy who
The Bat
won
God,
against the
yeah.
other guy.
The guy you released from the heart of the volcano.
Right, that guy.
Right.
I think
Oh,
he's
and
more of a
he-
backup guy, but
Well, that's the point, right? Is that he said he
Okay.
wasn't going to help your fight, but if she the Shapeskirter awakened, he would fight her.
Which, yeah, because I failed my insight roll on him. So I think he was telling the truth, right? That he
Yeah.
was going to come help. Yeah. So I guess I'll message him and just kind of say, like, the battle is happening tomorrow.
Yeah.
At Exunamai's palace. Like, I don't know what to, if he knows.
I don't think
what
he
that
knows who
is.
that is, but you could say like this amount of miles north because it's like in the same mountain range.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I give her a location and then just kind of say, be prepared if she of the Jade Skirt awakens tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, and I guess he says, "Thank you for the advance warning. If she of the Jade Skirt comes back, I will be there." We also have Tapioxy and his company, right? He shows up. Tapioxy is the weird, like, worm blob starfish thing with a flower for a head. Just in case you forgot what he looks like. He shows up with his, like, army of, like, mutated frogmen, right? And then a scattering of other races that he's conquered and enslaved. And he also has his, like, weird larva mage, like, majordomo. This guy who, like, wears a mask and has worms just, like, writhing underneath his skin.
The guy who, like, read the rules.
No, that was one of the frog guys. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He didn't. The Starspawn larva mage didn't really say much, but you notice that he was weird and had like worms squirming as his skin, basically. So they're around. They show up with the army, and you can set them up wherever you want them to set up. Atabai, I gave you, there's 2, and I don't know how many of these stat blocks will actually be using. It will just depend on, I imagine the fight itself will be like a series of battles that you guys have to be involved in because you can turn the tide one way or another, right? But the actual major conflict itself won't be all played out, obviously. But there's 2 stat blocks that I grabbed was a like powerful Tabaxi warrior stat block and a Tabaxi warlock stat block. So those are things you have at your disposal. Obviously, we have the Burning Sanctum, as we mentioned. You also have the army from Nelqui City, right? So you have the Genasi, Tabaxi, and Yuan-Ti that have joined your side. So various like Yuan-Ti mages and Genasi warriors and Tabaxi warriors, that sort of thing. The one I was wondering about is the dragon turtle. I don't know if he could even come here is the issue.
Our dragon turtle friend.
That didn't actually show up in the deleted scene of Terra Nullius.
Yeah, unless he actually, because he really didn't agree to fight in
anyone.
the fight.
Yeah.
He just agreed to be our escape route.
Yeah.
But the whole situation is different now. Yeah. I just don't know if Raya wanted to message him or anything, but
that one water dragon got killed, right?
Yes. Navarro and them killed him.
Pretty sure.
I mean, unless he has a river that he can use to get here, I don't think he can even get here.
Well, and then there's not like he would just be stuck to like a pool of water here.
How would he even get here? He just like goes underground. He's like, it can't fit.
Yeah. I mean, unless he's been doing some like recruiting behind the scenes for like, hey, like this thing's going on.
I don't really think
I don't know if he would. Yeah.
I think he's going to be, and I want to hear what you're going to say too, Jordan, but just my thought on that is probably like, he'll probably be an ally that you can call on for maybe the epilogue, the aftermath, right? Like if there's something that you want him to be doing at the end, that's something you can maybe call on him for. In the new world, whatever else is going to be going on here. But then, yeah, Jordan, I don't know what you were going to say.
I was just going to say, I'm not sure if there's anything on like about the dragon turtle that says that it can't like move around on land.
Yeah, he's just slower, I think. But it
It
was
should
just
be hard for him to get here.
we just don't know how he would get here, really.
Right. I mean, unless.
But he also didn't agree to like actually fight anybody, right?
Oh,
So
thank you. Do
I
you
just
want
don't think
some
he would
idea?
show up unless there may be a situation that pops up where I will be like,
Wait,
he comes
wait.
and helps it at the last
Can you grab
second,
me
but
Chick-fil-A sauce and Polynesian
probably
sauce?
not for now, sort of thing.
No, I do, but for my fries.
And then you have Exunamai and her
Oh,
company.
sorry, I thought I was muted.
Nope.
All good.
Sorry, my bad. I was like, I need my Chick-fil-A sauce, honey.
It's true. It's good.
Then you have Exunamai and the remaining. I mean, you have her humans, but they're not as useful anymore. But she does have Yuan Ti that she hasn't turned specifically because she still wants people to be able to protect her, right? So they can help as well. Other than that, yeah, that's kind of the situation you have to work with. The one other thing that happens. So I guess first, before we do, then the only other thing is. Well, yeah, I'm not gonna say that. We'll just go ahead and if there is a conversation you guys want to have with any of those NPCs, now would be the time to do it.
I mean, it's not really a conversation, but I'd probably give my blessing to all the Tabaxi warriors that come in.
You have trained well. Now you have, yeah.
Essentially, just giving I'm giving you the blessing of your god.
Oh, right, sure.
Give them a little oomph to their step.
Cool.
I need to talk to Mane and Ix and see what the heck happened. I'm assuming that would happen. That probably would have happened like days ago, but
yeah, we can flash back to it now. Let's do it. So I guess he would have just. I mean, Mane would have mainly just like talked to you about like, okay, this is what I've been doing. Hey, I got X. Obviously you know that, but like, this is what happened. Why we were kind of delayed and so on and so forth. But then I think the thing that Ix probably Mane would mention it, the idea of it first, and then Ix would have something to tag onto it. Mane would probably say something like, from what I know, Mazliol has made all of his servants into void dragons, some twisted abominations that are still in partial birth transformation into becoming void dragons. I understand from a conversation I briefly had with Darius, your companion, that he fought them before. And I imagine that is what we will be facing primarily from Mazliol. Knock Knight, undead, who knows what he'll bring. But and I think Mane would probably say something like, I worry about the strength of those creatures and the twisted darkness that a void dragon turned could do. And then Ix seems to be thinking about something through that entire monologue that he had, and then he looks at you, Ari, and then says, now he probably looked at Mane first, and he says, they are void dragons, though, yes. And Mane says, I think they're all in their human forms at this point, right? Ix has figured out, like, he's been talking with Buck, and he's like, oh yeah, sure, I'll and he probably has a fire genasi form. It's not a human, but
yeah.
Because I think that's what Mane had too. But
Caleb, I sent you a message.
Okay, I'll look at it real quick.
I was gonna imagine that Mane looked like the king of Hyrule, just because he was a gold dragon.
But then Ix would basically say, like, or sorry, he asked, they are void dragons, yes? And Mane would nod and say, yes, I suppose so. Twisted, but given the way that the Yuan Ti Ascension works, they are technically, yes, void dragons by category. And then Ix looks at you, Ari, and then looks at Buck. And he kind of raises an eyebrow and he says, I have an idea, Ari. What we did with Tuhunapu, do you think we could do it to them? Maybe not destroy them, but purify them? Make them into true void dragons? Rebirth the race? I know we talked about this so long ago before I got trapped back in that hell. but you figured out how to do it. You figured out how to do it with Buck. I feel like things that are basically just void dragons, but twisted by probably a similar dark energy that Tuhanapu was using. I feel like we could do it.
I think maybe we could. Do I need to like roll something to like figure out is this going to be like a heat of the battle kind of moment, or are you asking me to like make a roll? Like,
you could make a roll if you wanted to. I mean, it would be very similar to the stuff you've already been doing, right? Like it seems like you'd be able to attempt it at least. But yeah, I mean, it would. I guess the question for the conversation here is: do you and X try to practice or like talk through what you might do? Do you set up like a specific like idea for the ambush on the void dragons, that sort of thing?
So here's my thought.
Mm-hmm.
We have the Rod of Lordly Might now.
You do, yes.
If Keat Lolly can turn a bunch of them on our side, that might make the process easier.
Certainly. Yep, because you purify that too. So, yep.
Yeah. So I think the plan would have to be, right, Keat Lolly using the rod on as many of them as she can, try to turn them on our side first.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Purify them.
And then use that as like a channel, to like try to purify them, and then maybe go even beyond that. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like a good plan. So I assume you would probably talk that through with Keat Lolly and set up a plan, a general plan of like making sure you guys are in the same general locations. You could try that when or if Maziel shows up, sort of thing. So.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I just knew that would be something that Ix would think of. So I wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. And when thinking about it, because I'm like, okay, if he's bringing a bunch of dragons, well, at least we have that little piece of
because Ix's whole thing, this entire game, has been, I want to bring the dragons back. I don't want to be alone in this universe. So
yeah, and I think Ari is totally fine with helping him try to accomplish that.
Yeah, I mean, because what you know from what Darius and Atabai dealt with at the volcano, like they were powerful, right? They annihilated Darius like first turn. So
we hid.
Yeah, sounds like they're definitely more powerful than Buck is. They're maybe the same level of power as X. So cool. So Atabai, the secret message you sent me, Seth. Do you want to play that out as an actual scene or just make the roll?
What do you think would be more interesting?
Totally up to you.
Also, I just realized, I was like, wait a second. Adeline's also a warlock. Is she the same patron as Atabai? I was like, no, he's not. It's celestial.
Some angel somewhere is like alternatively shaking his head and cheering her on.
She would probably be like watching, because essentially what Atabai is doing is he has all these tabaxi just around, and he's like they're going like ready, hey, like just practicing like on the ceiling. He's like ready, aim, fire, boom, and just like over and over again, getting them kind of trained up for doing that stuff.
Yeah.
I will admit I want to play it out, but it is going to ruin the surprise.
I mean, it's either you reveal that now and then increase the suspense and tension for Saturday, like by a lot, or you have it be like, it just depends on what you're more interested in, right? Do you want do you want surprise or suspense?
I think suspense would be worse, because here's the thing: if I don't do it now, it's just going to be like, oh, here's the thing, what happens? So let's just play it out.
Let's do it.
Let's play it out. Let's do this. Let's do this. And actually, what probably what happens is Atabai is like doing this stuff, and all of a sudden Adeline just kind of walks up, kind of compliments him on seeing. They discuss how they're both warlocks, and he's like, could you take this over for a second? I have something I need to do. And she goes, why, certainly, darling. And,
Oh no, Seth having a conversation with himself.
I know, I do it all the time.
Yeah.
So he'll go off and he'll find Keat Lolly, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, he goes and finds Keat Lolly and just sees
let's say Keat Lolly she was probably having a conversation with Zaman about like what's going to be happening, and I mean Zaman didn't come with you, so he's probably like talking to her about like it's so great that like even like he I think at once he's consoling her about her sister dying, but like also like we still have a chance, like you are the blessed sister now, like that sort of thing, right?
And Zaman's a local too, so we have all three local races here. Perfect.
But yeah, I mean, you just walk up to her. I mean,
Yes.
is this a sort of thing where you like want to have this conversation privately, and so you'd send Zaman away, or what?
No. I want Zaman here, especially since he was like a part of the leadership at the Burning Sanctum, wasn't he?
Zaman, yes, yeah.
Okay, no, this is perfect. I like it.
Sure.
He might be another helpful convince. And do I know her? She's the Blessed Sister.
Yeah, you've gotten probably the context from the other party members at various points.
So they're both fire genasi. So
Yep.
maybe he doesn't need to be there. Actually, now that I think about it.
That's fine. I feel
Let's
like it's
make
probably
it so
more
we don't
interesting
have
just to be
girl
being
voice,
Keelali. Yeah.
Yeah, just me and Kitlali.
Yep. So Zaman goes off to
you
talk
walk
to
up-
Kizine about something.
Like Kitlali, Kitlali, blessed sister.
Yeah,
I
she
would like to
frowns
discuss
at that.
something
Like
with-
she's not used to people calling her that yet. But it's not like a
I understand.
frown at you. It's just
I know it is strange to take a position of power after not being used to it for so long.
yeah. And she like looks at the rod of rulership, which she's kind of always carries with her now,
Mhm.
and just like says like, yeah.
It is a heavy burden you hold.
And then she looks at you and says, "So you were a god?"
Yes, I was. It is strange now to feel so mortal, but it is nice to be free of that. What's the word I'm looking for? It is nice to be free of that responsibility. I am not going to lie.
She frowns
Sure,
and she
I
says, she cuts you off and she says, "From what I understand of basic history, you reveled in the power that you held over the whole basin. You terrorized my people
Yes.
for centuries."
And it is something I regret.
Make a charisma save.
I have been
I want to see how that initial first impression comes off to her.
okay. Charisma save.
Yeah.
20.
Yeah. So
I
she's
rolled a 9.
like, "Whoa, okay, I did not expect that. Like that's genuine."
I was what's the word I'm looking for? I was a tyrant in my time. But it is something I do not want anymore. I just want my people to be free. As I'm sure you do too.
She nods. "Why did you come over here to talk to me?"
And he just kind of she's standing up?
Yeah, you're just like standing somewhere in this big jungle jigger cigarette thing. So
Is there a rock nearby?
Sure.
Okay, I'm just going to I'm just going to sit down and lay it out. We can't be free if they stay. They will just become more seven serpents in our land.
she frowns. "And you're referring to the men from across the sea?"
Yes.
She seems to like it's not like exactly like tension relieving, but it's like a sort of like a burden that she was pretending she didn't have is suddenly weighing her down. And so she kind of just sighs and says, "I can't get it out of my head. We have been told forever, I've been told my entire life to never trust someone from across the ocean, and now we're staking everything on them. And I appreciate what Ari and the others have done for me. I do. Darius brought me back from the brink of oblivion, but you're right.
Me too. Don't get me wrong. Ari, Darius, Raya, I trust them. It is the others I don't. We can trust as soon as politics get brought into this, we are just going to become servants to them. I don't like to think it, but I have lived a long time and have seen it countless times before. I did it. The seven serpents did it. Who's to say they won't do it again? Or it won't happen again.
Yeah. She looks at you and she says, "So what do you propose we do?"
He's just kind of lean towards the rod. You know what that is. I wish no ill will towards them. I wish no violence against them. Believe me, After we go through this, there's going to be a lot of bloodshed on both sides. But when the time comes, you have the power to ask them to leave. Think about that. I do not wish that. I do not wish that power. I am not asking for the rod. It is yours. Please.
Okay.
I know what I can do with that kind of power.
Make that persuasion check. Yeah,
But-
I think you can definitely make a very strong impression on her here. Ooh,
35!
Dang. Yeah, I mean, I think you've officially gotten Keat Lolly on kick the foreigners out of the lowly basin team.
This has been a thing for a while now. So just so you guys know, one of the goals was ensure the new group is on my side.
So all the people
As
that
opposed to
Atabai has been
Elias.
recruiting, he's been secretly implanting, like, I'm actually the leader here, technically.
And I will not lie, he did want the rod. But at the same time, he's like, you know what?
There's
I'm
no way
fine
for
if
you to
someone
actually
else
get it
takes this from me.
without it going.
There is no
yeah.
way. I would have to give up something, and Atabai was like, I'm perfectly fine with like the freedom I have, and if someone else can do this and it's not me again, so much the better. Yeah.
Like
Cool.
the puppeteer, just like
Technically-
pulling all the strings.
Yeah, Darius, do you want to have that
Yep,
conversation now?
there
then?
was. I totally saw this as me as Grima, Wormtongue in the Two Towers.
Mm-hmm. Secretly making sure all the men of Rohan are on your side. Oh, this order doesn't come from me. It comes from the king. He signed it this morning. So I think we get that scene, and then we get a scene with Darius. So Darius, do you plane shift yourself to Shabalba?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Oh my gosh!
So Mickey says, "All right, what is it, Darius? You have that I have an idea look on your face."
So, have you ever played an instrument before?
My mother tried to teach me the lute, but I was horrible at it.
Have you tried recently?
I feel like there's an implication behind that I don't quite grasp, and that's concerning to me because I am literally a god.
I have an idea for how you might be able to impart one last gift from an old friend onto the coming army.
And then he because he's a god, he instantly grasps what your implication is now, and so he looks at you and he says, "Oh, no, you're right. I think that would work. He powered my ascension after all. There's probably a piece of him lingering there still. I could give it away."
I think he'd enjoy that. After all, he was about uniting people.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, and then I think he puts a hand on your shoulder, and he says, "Take it, Darius. Do with it as you will." You feel like a burst of inspiring energy fill you.
Yes. Yes.
And you know what? Honestly, because let's see. Make a persuasion check, Darius. Do you want to give like a rousing speech to the whole army?
I mean, yeah, that's kind of the thought is that Darius would go up to the entire army and give this whole huge spiel.
I think
it's the Braveheart scene.
Right. I think like pretty much. You know what? Let's actually save that. Right? Let's save that for the beginning of next session. I think it would be way more dramatic to actually have that scene right before the combat.
It also gives me a chance to actually write out the speech.
Yes, that would be awesome. Perfect. Okay, cool. I definitely have an idea of what like the magical effect is actually going to have. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I like message you the name that I have in my head for it?
Oh, the name?
Yeah,
Just
the
say it.
name of the. So my thought is like the name of the thing. It would be either Toidy's courage or Toidy's blessing?
Yeah. Well, I'll think about that too, and we'll see if we can.
Toidy's blessing.
Okay.
So the one
Toity
thing
had very little courage, but blessings he did have.
I guess real quick, does anyone else have any like NPC conversations that for sure need to happen?
I don't think I have any conversations. I just have stuff to do.
Yes, and we'll get to that. But the one thing that I think needs to happen next, before we get to that, is this. So the army is pretty much all here at this point, right? Everybody's gathered. They've separated into their own separate spaces. It's definitely a little tense because of the wide variety of random armies you have here that, in theory, in a different world, would all kill each other right now. But someone else shows up. A few someones. You don't know how they got here. You don't know how they even really knew about it. I mean, I guess the implication will become obvious early, pretty early here. But they're just here suddenly. You see 3 individuals. One is a it looks like a crow man, right? So like this bird guy, and he has this like a hood, and he's like skulking along. On the other side of there's 3 figures. The person in the middle we don't see. On the other side we see a young Chinese elf girl with and real quick, I guess, Emily, what is actually Yi's demeanor right now? Like, how has her time been in the verdict so far? Like, what kind of bearing does she have?
I mean, I think she has a new purpose in life because her old purpose is like over after everything,
right,
since she found the man who helped her. And she feels like she's actually like doing something productive and helping people a little bit, at least, of getting rid of bad people. So I think she's just kind of like doesn't have very much expression on her face because she's not a very expressive person.
Yeah.
But like is kind of just like, okay, like this is our next job. This is what we have to do next.
Yeah. And then in the middle between these 2 figures is a tall human male with white hair. And all the people in the verdict who are in this crowd immediately are just like, whoa. Because like, you all know the description, but I honestly don't think any of you have actually met the guy, right? Not even really Navarro. But like he's there, him. And he walked right up to you, Raya. And he says, Raya Olafemi, I think you know who I am. And like, I think you can see, you just kind of know.
Yeah. Just kind of nod.
And he says,
Caleb,
yeah.
Does Akashi recognize any certain somebody that might be there now?
I don't know if he would be there. I mean, I guess I'll come up to you, honestly, Jordan. If you think he would show up to this battle, I don't think he would, because he's like taking care of Akashi's son right now.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Right. Like
Twigsnap was kind of, the lackey, so of course he shows up with the time.
Exactly.
Dude. I forget his name.
Him.
But
yeah, he goes up to you, Raya, and he says, Raya Olafemi, I hear that you've recently joined my organization.
Right.
And I just kind of like nod and say, yes, but if you're looking for me to do my task, is not the best time.
He smiles and he says, I am the one who decides when the best time is. And then he says, don't worry, this won't take any more time. How do you say this? He says, don't worry, this won't impede any of your preparations here, at least in a temporal capacity. You can do it in a matter of a minute. Right here.
Okay.
And he says, let's take a walk. Because he doesn't want to say this in front of everybody. So you guys just start I see him walking through the garden.
And then at that moment, Sayori jumps on you and is like, yee!
Right, yeah.
He's just like, hello.
Twig Snap just looks at everyone. Twig Snap just looks at everyone and goes, Twig Snap!
I think Darius like sees this whole thing going on, and he just turns towards Ari, and he's just like, "Who are all of them? Who are all these people?"
And Ari's just like, I don't know.
Like Yi, like with Sari on top of her, Yi's just like trying as hard as she can to like not have like a happy look on her face, like be annoyed, but
She actually is
very,
glad to see.
Yeah, to see her inside.
Nice. Awesome.
There's like a little smile on her face.
Nice.
Little.
The tsundere smirk. Cool. So, Raya, you take a walk, and he's silent for a while. But I think he turns to you eventually, and as you're walking, he says, "There is someone that you have gathered here who, unfortunately, will not be able to help you. The reason for this is because the task I'm giving you is to kill them."
Oh.
And he like holds up a hand, and he's like, "And before you get any ideas about any possible interruptions this might cause, I assure you, this person's death is a requirement for the future to be positive, to be right."
I know what's about to happen.
And he says, "Before I tell you who they are, I would just like to reiterate, the people in the verdict are here because I allow them to be. If you refuse this task, your membership within the verdict will be stripped, and all of the people who have come to your aid will leave at once. So choose carefully, one person or the verdict."
And just look at him and say, "I understand."
And he says, "You must kill Kitlali, the Blessed Sister."
Oh, I thought you said he.
No. And then on that note, we're going to take a break, and
What the heck?
we'll find out what Raya's answer is when we return.